Assalamu alaikum, I'm Basra Hassan Rizvi and we're back with yet another book review. This time it's Defy the Night by Brigid Kemmerer. Now personally this review would be very different from all the reviews I've done so far because they were classics, and this time I'm doing a review of a young adult fiction. Now I was very quite skeptical of reading this book at the very beginning, so I read it online instead of buying the hardcover because I thought if it would be good I'd buy the hardcover as well. But I was so into it that by the time realization dawned, it was over. And before we start the review, I'd like to crystal clear one thing, that I'd be very ruthless with the book review because so as to not be, biased with any specific genre. Before starting the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future update. Now with that being said, let's roll the intro. Rate the books, but to give you an image of how good the book is, it had been rated 4.2 out of 5 on Goodreads, 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon, and 5 on 5 on 4-word reviews. To start off with a brief description of the book, it starts off with introducing the main character Tessa, who is an apothecary in a kingdom named Kandala. Now, the Kandala's structure has been defined in the first few pages itself, and to understand it much more better, the author had also attached an image of the Kandala in the beginning of the book. Now, that is quite impressive of her. I really like that. Now, Kandala suffers from an incurable fever or illness, to which we have no intel where it came from, how it spreads, what triggers it. The only preventive measure is an elixir made from the moonflower, to which only royal sector has access to. Now because of this, there are so many political stuffs, people's revolution and royal sector defending themselves, and so many sundry related issues. Now if you ever read this book, you will eventually get early COVID-19 era vibes, because how the authority has to defend their citizens, the authority in control has to control their people, save their people, and that too on such a mass and level. Because author herself has mentioned in her acknowledgements that she wrote about Kandala keeping in mind people and royals perspective in amidst of a pandemic. So yeah, a lot goes down beyond our imagination, we can say. The writing style. I knew when I first started reading this book, I have to talk about this. Commonly in novels and poetries, descriptive nature is used so as to define everything, every surrounding, to engage with readers about what the author is really thinking. From reading classics almost my whole life, which serve the purpose, to switching to more young adult fiction, I have to comment, I really wasn't quite impressed with the writing style, because there were so many things that could have been more detailed, could have been more defining than they turned out to be. Though the dialogues, the story was spot on, these were the only things that really complemented for the lost case. But for how long, I don't know, because throughout the whole story, the main twist could have been more defining, but they weren't. And it was more like reading a manga or a comic than it was reading a novel, just because of the dialogues and stuff. So, and just to remind you that I've been reading classics for so long now that I really quite wasn't impressed with this writing style. Nonetheless, it isn't that bad. In terms of the story it was brewing, and I am a seeker for story. It doesn't matter what form. I love stories. I am currently watching a K-drama, an anime, and a French cartoon, manga, two mangas basically, just for the sake of story, which is still on air for the record. So I ignored most of the things that the story sets right for me. I did it with this one as well, so yeah. Now about characters. We are introduced with Tessa and Weston, Coric and Harriston as the main characters, with Tessa and Weston representing the common people's perspective and Coric and Harriston representing the royal perspective. Now Tessa is described as a strong-based character, and with Weston's wisdom and support, she is predicted to be inevitable. Coric and Harriston, on the other hand, in terms of story, are described to be very brutal, very ruthless, and they don't really help their people according to their people. Now the characters that I'm really defining you are on the terms of story, because I know the reality of the characters. I know who they turned out to be. So if I really define it to you, the way I've read them, it would be just like putting a perspective on you before you have even read the book. So I'm defining the characteristics of the characters based on how the story coined them as. Hey, sorry to interrupt you, but don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe now, please. My efforts are no joke. Please do subscribe. Now back to the video. Though the main characters were not kind of characters that really highlighted for me, they weren't kind of characters that I would think about after reading the book. They wouldn't be on my mind 24/7. But there were so many side characters because it is a kingdom, so there were so many consuls and such that we were introduced with. So there is a side character named Quint, who is a very great friend of Coric, and he's also a great advisor of Coric's. He's smart, he has good humor, he's everything, he has every characteristics I want a character to have. Far now, like till now. So yeah, we don't know about much, and there are so many things about the characters, the twists and turns. It is one main big event that I'm beating around the bush, not trying to say it, so we will stop talking about characters here or I'll give you a huge spoiler. So yeah, I'll stop here. Now about the title. My favorite thing is to analyze the title of the book after reading the story, that how relevant it is with the story, literally and metaphorically. In front page of the book, there is a prelude attached next to the title, and it says, "A spark of rebellion is all it takes to defy the night." Now, let me choose my words really carefully so as to not spoil the book's experience for you. So far, we know that Kandala is on the brink of disaster, incurable disease. The only thing that can cure it is the elixir made from the moonflower, to which only royal sector has the access to. Especially the common people cannot pass through the royal sector and take the moonflower the wish they want to, so no. Tessa and Weston at night, they steal the moonflowers, make the medicine, make the elixir, and distribute it among the people who are suffering from the fever. Now, on that context, we can conclude that the desperation to live, desperation to not let any their beloved ones die, caused a rebel amongst commoners so much and provoked their rage so much that they are ready to do anything to survive, and that too defy the night. So many deaths are caused at night because of the night patrol is so high. So sometimes Tessa and Weston don't get to steal the moonflowers, and so many people die at night especially. So yeah, it could be. Now a sequel to it, Defend the Dawn, is set to be published on September 2022. Now following that, metaphorically, it could also mean that defying the darkness, the hatred, the agony caused by the fever amongst the people, that they are so now ready to defend their light, their hope to live, their the only brightness that had shone upon them. It could also mean that. I really personally suggest the second one, and also to mention that the story ends with a cliffhanger. So yeah, it basically could mean that. I've also browsed so many titles of the series by Brigid, and I have to say I really love that, because she really puts it into the cliffhanger from one book to another book in the title, and I really love that. Easter eggs in the title, in the stories, totally my cup of tea. I like that, literally. Now about the author, Brigid Kemmerer is an American author of the young adult fiction. She was born in 11 January 1978 in United States. Her novel A Curse So Dark and Lonely, popularly known as Cursebreaker series, has been New York Times bestseller and also received a starred review from Publishers Weekly. Now, I don't really like to rate books, but I've realized so far that rating books is very necessary so as to give people an idea about how good book is, it is worth the hype or not. So I have created a solution for rating the book. Now I will be rating the book according to the 5-tier chart I have made myself. Starting from bottom, we have 2022 Met Gala. In this category, we'll put all of the books that had lazy writing, less efforts, could have been better. There were 1 or 2 instances that were great, like there were in Met Gala 2 or 3 instances of Blake Lively's outfits and such that were great, but they still couldn't carry the whole book. So yeah, we'll put every books in this category. Moving on to the 4th position, we have a bit better than the Met Gala. So in this category, we'll put all the books which were really just an inch away from keeping them back to the shelf. A one-time read, that's it. Moving on, we have on third place Twilight Vibes. Now, in this category, we'll have books that had very great storyline, a bit lacking characters. Basically, a guilty pleasure because it was really amusing to read, but it wasn't great, to be honest. Yeah. Now, moving on second position, we have Attack on Titan Vibes. That it ended so badly that it magically felt so good. Great storyline, up to the mark characters, a slight difference from perfection, but yeah, it was great. Like great reading, amused. That's it. And on top position, we have Titan. I don't have to even define this because it's just perfect. Just perfect. Now I will put Defy the Night on Attack on Titan vibes because the characters were quite a bit much more, could have been more better for me. They were just slight to perfection. Yeah, that's it. It was amusing to read though, basically. Thank you so much for sticking up until this very end. Do comment below what you liked about the book review. Suggestions and advices are wholeheartedly welcome. And in my mind, I currently have two books. They have been in my to read and review list for a long time now. Cruel Prince and It Ends With Us by Colin Hoover. So I'm really confused which book I should pick up to review next. If you have any suggestions, you know what to do. So thank you so much for watching. JazakAllah.